Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus here again, and this is a Sunday morning. So it stands to reason that perhaps I should talk to you about the things that people usually talk about on Sundays. And I'm not talking about football and baseball and basketball. I'm talking to you about spiritual things. I'm talking to you about God. Now, you know, there are a lot of people who don't even believe in God. And the reason that they don't believe in God is because God had been held up to such a high esteem. And those who talked about God just never delivered. They never delivered. And so people became rational and decided that it was just talk. But you know, in the scriptures, when they talk about heaven, they talked about angels being in heaven. And there was supposed to have been one amongst them who apparently was not satisfied with that position and wanted to change things, and began an advocacy that over a third of the heavenly host subscribed to. And that was not designed to exist in a heavenly place. And so it was excommunicated from heaven. Now, somewhere they said it came to earth or in space. We don't know where it went. But anyway, it was just to say that corruption started even there, where everybody say they want to go. And so we talk about here on this earth in America, we talk about Jesus as being the epitome of what God is all about in relationship to we the people. And that's compassion and love and understanding and all of those wonderful things, those joyous things, those peaceful things and prosperous things. And the antithesis of that would be, you know, lying and cheating and stealing and killing and terror and racism and all the ugly stuff. Now, this is what they've basically been teaching in America, based upon the stuff that they got in the book. Now, they don't stick to stuff all the time. Sometimes there's contradiction right there in the scriptures themselves, especially depending upon who's talking to you. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, in America, we have talked about God being love. Jesus exemplified it. In God we trust. We have talked about it. All men are created equal. And yet here in America, we have never practiced it. We have never, ever practiced the fact that all men are created equal. We never, ever, in the whole history of America's existence, even today, 2021, yes, we have had a black president. Yes, we currently have a black female vice president. But never in the history of America's existence have they treated people of color equal to those of white. Never, ever. Maybe that's why people don't believe in God. Well, if that's not a good enough reason, look at this. Consider what we just got through saying, all that Jesus represents. And think about all of the people who go to church listening to all of the different preachers representing different organizations, all about God, spewing out what they believe and what they understand as being godly, and yet still trying to hold on to the scriptures that the New Testament gives. A lot of them want to go to the Old Testament, but they want to end up in the New until you pay for not listening. Then you go back to the Old. Anyway, I'm thinking about what Jesus represented. And then I'm thinking about a man came on the scene talking about the stuff that Jesus talked about. And he was running for president of the United States. No one paid any attention to him. No one. He even ran when Barack Obama ran for president of the United States. And he talked all that what Jesus represented. You ever heard of him? I bet you haven't. Neither have most folks. But you know what? A few years ago, there was another man. He came on the scene. And he didn't talk about what Jesus talked about. He talked about the opposite. He talked about division. He talked about hate. He talked about racism and bigotry. And the nation fell in love with him. You couldn't get the cameras from in front of him. He really did not have to pay for publicity. It was there, free. Every word came out of his mouth. He was a liar. They made sure that the whole world got a chance to hear his lies continuously. He told another lie. He kept on lying, and they just kept telling the lies and repeating the lies and giving him cover for the lies. And the people accepted him. In fact, they were so enthralled with him until the white evangelicals, fundamentalists, right-wing, Christian, spewing all of the stuff about Jesus, all of a sudden fell in love with this man who talked about nothing but the opposite of what Jesus stood for. And they sit back and said that God had sent this man, who was not a perfect man as Jesus was, but he sent him to serve this godly purpose. Yes, they did. They said that God had sent the devil. And what did they do? They did not preach against the devil. They joined the devil. Yes, they did, ladies and gentlemen. Most and many of the right-wing evangelical Christian churches joined with what they had been teaching was the devil. What they call an imperfect situation. The devil. They joined with it. Why did they join with it? Not because he represented the scriptures, the story of Jesus as they had taught it, but because he represented who they themselves really are. And so when he represented them, they pushed Jesus to the side and joined with him, stating that he would give them what they wanted. No longer did they have faith in Jesus. No longer did they have faith in God. They had faith in this one. He alone could fix it. And so they joined with him to help him fix it. And when they saw that he was going to run and need a second term, they brought everything on his opposition. And they brought everything to bear to his defense. They called angels from everywhere, even angels from Africa. I don't know why he called angels from Africa. Maybe because that's where all the wealth is, in Africa. All of them, they laughed at his opposition. This guy who represented ugliness and evil and dirty and hardness. And they based it all on the fact that they said the other people believed in choice. That a person could have a choice to have abortion. They were so upset at the fact that people could have abortions. Never mind that cops kill black people and people of color all the time. Never mind that people are suffering with lack of food, shelter, education, and health care. Never mind all of these things that Jesus represented. Because that's not what they represented. And this man represented what they represented. And so now they were calling all of the hosts from heaven to come and assist this man in his victory over his enemy. Over his enemy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen for a moment. Many of you are aware of what happened. They called, they prophesied, they did everything. They laughed. Ooh, did you hear them laughing at Joe Biden being president? They couldn't stop laughing. Now, I'm not lifting up Joe Biden as being anything really uniquely special. He's no more special than Trump. The situation is that his heart is not as hard as Donald Trump. He has some compassion for the people. But he is just a representative of the compassion that the people have for one another. And it's not that strong, mind you. It's not that strong, but it's better than the Trump. But yet these white evangelical right-wing people who standing up for to save the babies, who don't care anything about them after they are here, but bring them here. They went and called out the heavenly host. Michelle Bachmann wanted that rod, the God that made steel rod, crushed stuff. And guess what? None of it happened. None of it happened. So I wonder, the people who were sitting in these congregations, listening to these pastors calling down the heavenly host to destroy all of the Democrats and what they stand for and give power to everything that this monster stands for, lying and cheating and hatred and racism and bigotry. They call the God down to install this kind of stuff. But nothing happened. So what does that say? Does that say that their God wasn't listening to them? Or were they talking to another God? That is no God. And so they themselves have no connection to God, as they proved. They proved that they had no connection to God, as they prove every time they lay hands on somebody talking about praying for the sick and pray and the sick does not recover. Same old thing. Their God did not deliver. They have no connection with the real God. And the people sitting in those congregations, all those right-wingers who've been listening to all of these Joyce Myers and Billy Grahams, Falwell, all of these joined with evil, at least what they taught was evil, and then asked God to come and bless evil. And now they're trying to stretch God all over the map until he comes through. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say these things to you because you have to be careful. When it comes down to God, I figure God is love. And anything, I don't care what you're doing that is outside of love, is not of God. And if you're doing it, it's because either you're outside of God and don't know it, or know it and don't care. So it's everybody's obligation who know it to resist you, so that if you didn't know it, you will know it. And then you can make your choice. So what I'm saying to you is this. My faith in God is not about what God can do and has done for all of us. We all say that. It's what we can do for God that really represents who you are for. Now, When it comes down to me, I saw people talking about ask God, asking it shall be given. Look, as I see it, God has already given everything. Everything you could ever need, God has already given it. You resisting it by applying some principles that denies it. Going some path that leads away from what you're praying for, what you say you want. Excuse me. We are our own enemies. We are. In this praying to God, God has put this stuff in our own hands. We have choice. We have choice. Now, we made a choice that delivered us a certain kind of way. That causes us to act a different kind of way. No need of praying to God saying smooth it out. And what's smoothing that out for? Well, then what's the lesson? No, my friends. These guys over there in the right-wing stuff should learn what they got. And the condition of our society should tell the people that whatever is remaining is not sufficient enough. And so the God that you've been hearing about is not God. That is not God. You've been hearing a bunch of junk. The true God is about love, about peace and prosperity and freedom and joy. A wonderful life, dreams being fulfilled. That's what you dream about, talking about going to heaven, or dreams being fulfilled in heaven. Get your butt back down here where you are, and talk about dreams being fulfilled, not just for you, because in heaven it's supposed to be fulfilled for everyone. So you start practicing what will be required if you make it to heaven. And that is caring. People don't suffer in heaven, so people don't suffer down here. How can you talk about being a Christian? I don't care if you're right or left, white or black, and people hungry. And you can live with that. You say, get a job. Come on. What kind of God you got? See, the design, my friends, I've said it a zillion times, and one more probably won't help, but I'm sure going to give it a shot, is that everybody who benefits from the resources that's essential for survival must play a part in the process of manifesting those goods. That's why you got a chance to get it, because you played a part in it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to do anything but play a part in the process. Your role is that gift that you got that gives you your greatest happiness, being able to apply it. And it's so needed because we have all the food, all the clothing, all the shelter, all the transportation, all the infrastructure, all of the things to get us to Jupiter and beyond. But we got to line up with the principles. And that's not someone is better, deserve more. You got to be out of your mind. That's from the pit of hell. And anybody that's talking that stuff is lined up with the pit of hell. I see it like that. When I talk to you about God, God came to my rescue. I wasn't begging God. I wasn't asking God. Didn't even know I needed God. Didn't have any idea. Didn't even care. But in the moment, when everything mattered, God was there to be seen, to be understood, to be recognized, and to be respected. And so this is why I've spent all of my lifetime since I've been a grown man started putting down the junk that I've been taught and started telling it like it is. Why we suffer? Because we don't know God. Why we suffer? Because we put our faith in Donald Trump types. We put our faith in Barack Obama types. We put our faith in Hillary Clinton types. We put our faith in human beings and not God. We should put our faith in God. And once we put our faith in God, we will know, and human beings will come around just as we came around. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to me this morning, this Sunday morning. I hope I have said something that's Sunday worthy. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying again, goodbye.